Hey, what is up, guys? Swallow J here. I'm here with my co-host Miguelino. Miguelino, say what's popping to the peoples.
What's popping to the peoples?
Also, our other co-host,
What's this?
he is a dream, the dream, Stephen Aiken. Say hello, Stephen.
Hello, Steven. All of
And
you out
our
there.
other co-host today, Nunchuck. Nunchuck, just say hello.
Hello.
Oh, God, that took you forever. And our guest tonight, he is a PGF World 7 athlete, Chris Wojcik. Oh, we lost him.
Yo, he disconnected, bro. I was like,
You
I
know
can't
what?
tell if he's just like reading all intensely or he's just frozen. It was hard to tell, dog.
I definitely blew that
Yeah,
intro, in my opinion, on the way that he was looking at me.
Yeah.
But maybe he was frozen. So.
Or
Yeah,
did his machine die?
Oh yeah,
maybe
he did
his
say that
machine
his
died.
juice was juiced. His battery
Yeah,
was not
but
functioning.
hey,
Caprice
listen.
ain't got no juice.
But you know, we
Well,
already
we're gonna
live
talk
now.
to him, but maybe
He'll be
we
back.
lost
Maybe he'll be
we
back.
lost him, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe. But he's one of those guys that we've been talking about, and he looks to be a contender this season for season 7. I believe Egg had him low in the rankings at 11, but to me, he should have been a little bit
Disrespect.
higher than
Nobody
that.
could trust. You can't trust that guy.
You can't trust
Yeah.
Edward.
I mean, we can
I had him at
trust him
top
to
five.
be
You can
here.
make statistics say anything. People can bend these numbers nowadays and try to make up scenarios that may not even exist. And not saying that Egg would specifically do that, but I've seen some bad rankings before. That's all I'm saying. But he's not
Here we
here,
go.
so
I
let's.
think
Oh,
he's
there he
done.
comes.
Hey.
He's
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Yo,
He's
sorry
trying
about
to come
that. I
back.
got booted.
Hey.
There you go.
No worries.
He's
man.
back. Okay, cool. All right. So we were talking, just introducing.
Hey, sorry
you
about that. I
to-
got booted off.
All good.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So listen, PGF World 7 coming up November 2nd through the 9th. What attracted you to the PGF?
I think the main thing that attracted me to the PGF is just that I've never done any competition that's like it. Like, I've competed, I've done 2-day events like trials and ADCC and stuff, but like 4 days, 3 matches a day, I've just never had any like experience like that. And, obviously the money is good now, like 20 G's to win is freaking awesome. But just like the experience of having like a competition that's like so unique, that was what really attracted me. And then the money was like the extra kind of push,
Right on. So I mean, is this maybe the new goal that you were searching for?
I would say so. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like it's professional, right? That's like what you want as a grappler. You want to compete in things that are like the like make you feel and act like a professional athlete. Like in order for like to prepare for PGF, it's like a unique rule set. You have to train a certain way. You have to kind of I had to kind of bulk up a little bit because I'm an 88 guy, so I'm like kind of small for the division. So it's kind of like having to do things a little bit differently. And so it's just kind of like a unique and kind of a special challenge. And so that's kind of just, I would do it at 185. I would do it at 170 if they do that again. It's like a cool like challenge. So I'm excited about it.
And so along those lines
was
about
re-
the professional side, hold on. I've been waiting on this. I've heard your name pronounced lots of ways. I'm the guy that's going to be doing the like actual announcing during the season. How do you pronounce your last name? Like the way you say it?
Wojcik. So the C is
Wojcik.
silent.
Okay, no C. Okay.
Yeah.
Wojcik.
Yeah.
Oh, Wojcik. Got you.
No C.
Thank you.
Yo, we had that discussion right before you came on. We're like, we didn't want to pronounce it wrong or anything else.
It's like my whole life, my whole career, it's been just like different pronunciation. So like honestly, whatever you guys say, if it's in the ballpark, I'll know it's me. I appreciate you taking the time.
I mean, that's the same. If you try to say mine, people would pronounce it lots of different ways. Technically, the E is silent on the front of mine, so it's just Aiken. But I've never been called that first in my life. So
Yeah, I get it.
it's cool though. I got
So
over it.
I was reading your blog on like the come down from ADCC, and it kind of.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not a competitor. I'm not obviously at your level, but it kind of hit home because we've talked about this because we've done this tournament, now since season 1. We're part of the staff, and every year once we leave, it's like, man, it's almost like, what now? It's almost like you
Yeah.
said, like you were a little lost. So that for me, it was like,
Mhm.
man, that is so true.
Well, it's funny that you say that because like the come down from ADCC was real tough, and then PGF was like the kind of the comeback up. It was like, oh, now I got something to kind of work towards and look
Focus on.
forward to. And I feel like I got in pretty early. Like I was confirmed in like early September, I think, mid-September. So it was like there was like 4 weeks where I was like, what the hell do I do? And then it was like, okay, now I'm like, I have a plan for like the next 2 months to train for. So it was like it was the come down and then kind of now the come back up. And I'm sure after next week it'll be
How was that call? What was that, Brandon, or was that somebody else? I mean, did you reach out and say, "Hey, I'm kind of
it
interested
was
in this"?
Brandon.
How did that go? It was Brandon. Okay. Yeah, you mentioned also
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
competed
Well, so
on lighter weight.
I was talking about it with the guys at the gym. Yeah,
Okay.
I was talking about it with the guys at the gym, and I don't really care about weight classes. Like I'll go again. Like I've trained with and competed against so many of the guys in the tournament already at like my whatever weight, and now it's like, oh, now I kind of bulked up a little bit, so I'm a little bigger, But like I'm still not huge, but like I think skill wise, I don't think it really matters. And you know, I was like I was like talking to the guys at the gym. I was like, oh, I really want to do PGF. I don't care what weight class I want to do the 205 one because that's the next one. And
Right.
some of my buddies were like started sharing it on Instagram, and Brandon's like hard to get in contact with, and so one of my buddies follows Brandon, so they kind of were because Brandon and I didn't follow each other at first because I've only heard about Brandon. I never met him or anything, and I
Okay.
one of my friends shared it. He followed Brandon, and so then Brandon and I got connected, and then we started talking. And then I was like, "Yeah, dude, I would, whatever you guys do for this PGF season, if I can be a part of it, I would absolutely love to." And it worked out really good. So
Yeah.
that's just kind of how it worked. Just
Karen.
talked to Brandon a little bit, and I was the second he said, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Yeah, 100%, whatever you need."
Nice.
That's dope, man. Because Kieran Kitchuk, like one of your teammates, was supposed to do it last season, but I think he broke his foot. I think that's what it was, or something like that. So we didn't get to see
Yeah,
him.
he had a bad
So
foot break at trials, and it was like the worst
that's what I
timing
thought.
because
Oh,
some guys some guys skip trials to do the last PGF season, right? Which I remember was kind of a thing. And luckily this one was like far enough away from ADCC to where like there was enough time for me to do ADCC and then get into PGF and then still have a 6-week camp, So it was like
mhm.
the timing was I think better. Unfortunately for Kieran, it was just like I think he got injured at the worst possible time.
Yeah, man, that sucks. So
So
what did you think about the rule set though? Like, the point system. 6 for a choke, 3 for ankle lock, or a joint break.
Mhm. I think
What did you think of
so.
it?
I'm a leg locker.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I'm a leg locker, so I got to get a lot of them. That was kind of like the first thing that I thought was like, okay, I gotta, one, I think, well, I was talking about this with somebody. The thing that, like, in terms of like, I feel like a submission win at this level, whether it's a joint lock or a choke, is going to be like kind of a huge thing. So if like you're able to get like 2 joint locks or whatever, it's like that's gonna go a long way. I think the real thing that is a unique challenge with this rule set is 6-minute matches is like way shorter than like for ADCC it was like 15 minutes in the regular tournament, you know, and so like preparing for like 6 minutes of constant attacks is very different from preparing for like a 15-minute like wrestling match, you know. So it's like the big thing that I noticed with the rule set is like you can't be a slow starter, and that's going to become really challenging over like, you know, 3 days in. You still can't be a slow starter, you know. You have to be starting fast in all of the matches over the course of 4 days, and so that is like the unique challenge that I think that this rule set presents. One thing that I liked that I didn't know when I first heard about it, which I was kind of happy about, because EBI overtime I think is just it's almost as grueling as the regular matches, if not more, you know. So I was like happy that that's not until Friday.
The finals, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Miguelino,
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut someone else earlier.
Yeah,
I think there might be a little lag.
Yep. Yo, if anything, I gotta ask Chris. Did not realize up until recently that you are the Grappler's Diary. Like it's a, you know, blew on. I was like, oh crap, this is the same guy, right? So, you know, just a question I have about it in general, like, what kind of led to the creation of that? Because you dropped some knowledge bombs on there, bro, like wisdom bombs of gold, just phenomenal.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. It's funny, like it started off as like I just did writing because that was like my job, you know, before I was really doing jujitsu full time, was like writing for businesses. And I wanted to make like kind of like a portfolio, like of like proof that my writing is good. And so I would just create like articles on blog sites and stuff like that, just for like about different things. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm just gonna I was doing so much jujitsu that I was like, I'm just gonna write about jujitsu. So I created a newsletter about jujitsu. And then I was like, okay, but how am I going to get people to read this newsletter? And so I created like a Instagram page about a year and a half ago, and it was just like little posts every single day, and it kind of is like way bigger than I ever thought it was going to be. You know, I was like, at first I was like, who the hell is going to want to read these? Like, they're kind of long. They shouldn't do well on Instagram. You know, it doesn't make any sense. And so I'm like, oh, who's going to want to read these? And I would just post them. I was like, I'll just post it, whatever. Let's see what happens. And it's done really well. And the cool thing is like what kind of like what you said, like I'm disconnected from it a little bit. Like a lot of people read it, they like the post, but they don't know that like I also like do jujitsu, you know, like at a pretty high level. And so I like that is like kind of separate, you know, because I try to keep them separate. It's like the Grappler's Diary would be more of like a coach perspective, whereas like I'm like, you know, I compete all the time and, you know, do all this stuff. So it's like good to have kind of separate hats. And that's kind of how it started. Was like started as a newsletter, and then I just needed more people to read the newsletter. So I created the Instagram page, and then that just kind of became its own animal.
Man, I think you're coming in like at the right time with like the blog, because you know jujitsu's taking off in such a big way that people are starving for it. You know, it's like the second coming almost. You know, all the tournaments are getting more professional. You know, people are covering it. There's shows specifically about it, podcasts. One of our co-hosts who just happened not to make it today, he writes a blog for the PGF as well. So you know, I think you came in at the right time because people want it. You know, especially from somebody at your level where you're competing.
Well, it's like when I was a white belt, I remember like I would always Google like what is like how to like cross training etiquette, or like or like strength and conditioning tips for jujitsu, or like, you know, how often should I be training? Like things like white belt questions that like everybody kind of wants to know at the beginning, or even like intermediate level. And I always never got good answers. I was like, none of the posts were good. You know, they were always confusing. You would read an interview with like some professional full-time competitor, and it was like, okay, yeah, but this guy also like, you know, he doesn't have like a job. It's like kind of a different kind of situation. So I kind of just tried to make like a resource that I would have wanted. And that's sort of how it's kind of grown. And now you're right, it's like the sport is like exploding so much, and like so many people are training all over the place. Like it's just like it's really crazy how big it's gotten, thanks to like more professional tournaments, which gets more eyes on the sport, and then kind of the casual practitioner kind of wants to learn from people, and it's cool. It's becoming like its own thing.
Yeah, man,
there's almost go ahead, Dream.
So like you guys are saying, right? Jiu-jitsu's in this phase where, like, for me, I grew up in tennis. Like, my dad loved it, whatever. But how you have your newsletter, you had these magazines that they would cover not only the day one white belt, but for example, you're covering for people that, let's say, they're opening an academy or someone learning how to coach. It's like you're kind of like the Wikipedia of jiu-jitsu at this point, my man. Like, you're just dropping, again, those nuggets that just for multiple people, whether it's like, again, like you said, how to train, how to do this. Again, it just shows where we're at in the sport. And to think now, right, like next week, you're going to be doing something that's, for you, it's a first. For many, it's the first they're getting to see this. And now, again, with someone with, with what you do, bro, like, it's amazing how people not get to see that behind the scenes thing that they don't always get to see quite. We do have like the Grapplers, the documentary, but the docuseries comes out right when you're just waiting for that next season. But now through someone like you with the platform you have, maybe, again, obviously you're going to be busy. Not sure if you'll have the time, but people might even get to see some extra bits of like someone applying this stuff that you tell us about, like, in action. Like, dude, I'm just, again, geeking out over this. Again, huge fan. But yeah, man, again, I'm excited to see this.
Well, it's funny, like before ADCC, like it was like I wrote like a ADCC preview article, and then I was like, but I'm also in ADCC, so now I'm like, okay, I should probably do a PGF one, or like I did one for CJI too, even though I wasn't there. But I was like, it's just so big, we got to talk about, like, we got to address it, and then like PGF, it's like it's the same thing. It's like kind of I remember the last one came around, and the last PGF, the 175 or 171, that was like I had known about PGF just because of like Elijah Carlton, and Kamoy, and these guys who I've trained with, who like all have been on it, the guys from the Southeast. And then like the last one was like the first one that I was like, wow, this is like getting really, really big, And so I was like, I was like, the next time they do it, I need to be a part of this. And so then now it's like, okay, well, we can kind of find like it'd be cool to find like a unique way to kind of talk about it, just like with ADCC. That was kind of what I did. Because I'm like, nobody's going to write about this. So, I will.
Love it.
Yeah. So did you see, I don't know if you're, a pro wrestling fan or anything like that. Me and Dream are big professional wrestling fans. I don't know if you saw the belt that's going to be awarded to the champ.
Does that do belts excite you?
I haven't seen the belt yet. Can I pull up the picture really quick?
Yeah, for sure.
Is it on Instagram?
It's on the page. Yeah, on the.
Oh yeah, the guy that made it has a nice video of it. On PGF
for
somewhere.
sure. So my second question on that, since you're looking at for the belt, you're from Chicago.
Yeah.
CM Punk, the whole Chicago thing. No, that doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, I'm familiar with CM Punk, of course. Well, this belt is sick. I friggin' rap Esparza from what's his podcast called? Grappling Hour.
Yeah, the Grappling Hour. Yeah.
He said he's gonna call me CM Punk all week. Yeah, he said he's gonna call me CM Punk all week during PGF. So that'll be fun.
I was thinking more like CM Wojcik because your initial.
But I told him, I was like, yo, dude, that would be good. You should tell him that because I don't want to be CM Punk. But you know what? Like you get a good nickname.
There's got to be some copyright stuff.
You come up with a good nickname, I'll just run with it. It's all good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Like you see, like Greg making these like nose beers, New Balance shirt. I feel like you can get away with it.
Who's making
there'd
what?
There'd have to be some. A play on it.
There's a way around
Mickey,
it.
well,
I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, so Craig Jones has a whole thing, like he has like his little signature glasses that have the spoon, so you can get salt or sugar for your coffee, for example. He got like a thing that's the
okay.
New Balance, but it's like nose beers.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm not gonna name it in case some way somehow it gets demonetized, but that
I don't know anything
Okay.
about this.
some substance.
Never heard of it.
There's also he's done one that's like Mountain Dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a nice market on a lot of the funny kind of naming of things,
Well, it's
even
it's
other
satire,
instructionals and things like that
so
too. Yeah, it's just. But is
I
it?
think there's a law
Is
on
it?
it for like if it's satire or humor, you
A
can get
parody or
away
something
with
like
it.
that.
Yeah,
But
parody. That's what it
you are
is.
mountain dudes every day if you train a lot.
Yeah, man. If you do
You know,
jujitsu right,
it's
you
like
come out dudes at some
it's a
point.
real thing. It's
Oh my god. Anyway,
you know.
yeah. Listen, I'm sure you've seen the roster. What do you think about the roster?
Roster's sick. Like a lot of guys. It's cool because like it's a new weight class for me, so it's a lot of guys who I've never competed against, and then it's like a few guys who I've competed against like a million times. Like Ryan, I've had like 5 matches with or something, 4 matches. I've trained with Paul. Let me look at the
You had a
roster. Who
match with
else?
Nathan had it.
With who?
Nathan had it.
Oh yeah, I had a match with Nathan. I've had 2 actually with Nathan. He's a beast. Travis Thomas is a beast. One match that I think is interesting is this kid Marcin. I'm gonna botch his name. He's Polish. I'm Polish, but he's definitely more Polish. He won the trials at 99, I think, in Europe. He seems like a freaking tank. Kyle Chambers and I have been in like the same bracket a bunch of times. We've never had a match. I think Kyle Bain would be a really cool match. Fedor Nikolov would be a really cool match. I've had a match with Porfirio. It was like a draw. Nothing happened. So, it'd be cool to do another one and like try to kill each other. Let me see who else on here. You know what's crazy is Brayler going down to 205. I'm like, I trained with Brayler like literally a few weeks ago, and I'm like, how is this guy gonna get to 205? He's enormous, but he's gonna do it, but he's so big.
To like,
So,
obviously,
super tall.
you're gonna be on a team.
Yep.
What coach are you looking at and be like, man, that'd be kind of cool to be on that team?
Oh, okay. The coaches. It's Hodger as a coach.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pedro
Dean
Sauer.
Lister.
Peter Sauer,
Dean
Dean
Lister.
Lister, and Carlos Machado.
I feel like so I'm a leg locker, so I think it would be like sick to have Dean as my coach. But like also Hodger's like one of the greatest I mean, like all these guys are really, it would be like super cool. But I feel like Dean Lister would be sick because he's a leg locker. I think I learned some cool stuff from him. And then Hodger would be like just kind of a dream come true coach. So those would be the 2 that I would, those are the 2 I'm hoping for. But anyone I would be happy.
Man, what do you think about like the draft and stuff like that? Have you ever
I
been
think the
part of a
draft is
draft?
really cool. I'm like, no, I'm a little nervous because I was never good at like popularity contests, so I'm like a little nervous that the draft won't go well, but I'm like, it's cool. I've never done one before.
Yeah, and this one's gonna be random too. Last time that we did it, it was ranked from like 1 down to 30, and so now there'll be randomness to it. So I'm not sure. You could be the first or last guy to come up, in this case, which makes it kind of weird. We did a mock draft where we ended up where Ryan Aiken, I think, or no, Ryan was not the last. Who was the last guy on the board? I think it was Travis Thomas was the last guy like available to pick it all. And so, whoever had the last money was able to get Travis Thomas for whatever you kind of had left in a way. So it really made it different than last season where all the front runners, you definitely knew you had PJ, Andy, Hinato, those guys coming straight out of the, the gate to dump your money into. Now it's going to be interesting to see how these guys do it. But with Dean and Hodger, I think those are good choices because they definitely got the experience kind of coaching through it. Although Carlos, he was there all week last season, just kind of at the PGF around. So he definitely at least like hip to the game. He's not like coming in with no knowledge of it for sure. So I think those are definitely my two choices going in would definitely probably have to be Hodger and Dean, with them having that experience too, with like the rule set and kind of like what it takes to get through the week now too, because it's a grind, in the most like basic way. So many people are just destroyed by the end of the week. I did season 2, so like we had, so I know it's like it's weird. Same reason, kind of like you said too. And that's kind of one of the things I was gonna jump in one time. Was like it seems like such a cool thing to try to do as somebody who's a competitor, who's really looking to try to like test themselves and like really wanting to understand like jujitsu better and maybe themselves better and stuff. I saw a video that you had with someone, I can't remember, it was maybe something, but it was resonated a little bit. It's like something that definitely kind of maybe what Wiggie's getting at too. You talk about how you started with one game, and then by nature of competition you had to like get to your guard, and then from there you had to kind of get better at wrestling and better at leg, the process from the ground up, and how the way that it is what it is, the way that yours was is one way, but other people's may be inverted in some of that order of where maybe they started as a wrestler, and so they've got to go a different kind of direction of that. And so to me, that's really always an interesting part of everybody's jiu-jitsu journey, is like, do you see those things, those gaps, and do you take the opportunity to really try to like reinvent yourself and and learn new things to try to make yourself a better grappler or whatever. So definitely, man, I'm excited to see what you can do during the season 2, because there's a lot that goes into playing the game. But really, it just comes down to getting the points at the end of the day. It's just a lot. 12 matches in 4 days.
It's like, I feel like it's like the Iron Man of jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
It's
Definitely
like
an
the
marathon.
like it's like literally like you can't like go, like you can't like in a normal tournament, like if you do a trial, like you could eat a submission and like keep fighting, because you have to fight the rest of the day, and that's okay. In this, it's like you can't like let stuff break, like
Right.
and just keep fighting. You would be unable to continue, and then your team would lose, and then people would stone you, and just kidding. But you're freaking, you wouldn't be able to like, you have to be like smart. You can't be an idiot and try to like do a 4-day like grind tournament. You have to be strategic. The same way with like marathon runners, they're strategic about like their carb timing and like all this stuff. It's like there's going to be different things that like I'm going to have to think about in the moment that are like unlike other competitions, because it's like it's a season. It's not like a tournament. It is a tournament, but it's a season.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's not a tournament, I guess, until like Friday or whatever the finale day kind of is. It's an interesting thing.
Friday's a tournament. Friday's a tournament. The rest of it is a season.
Yeah, because you could lose 12 matches in 4 days. It's like if you're in a tournament, a lot
and
of
so
times
you have to like like you think about like a professional baseball team. Yeah, exactly. You lose a tournament, you're done. You could lose like on day 1, and then you get to go again. You have to go again. Like you lose the first match on day 1. You lose. I remember last time. I think it was PJ he started pretty slow, and he kind of picked it up towards the end. But I remember PJ started the first day or 2 pretty slow, and didn't get a lot of subs, and so it was like that kind of hurt him. So it's like you have to be able to like bounce back from like. And quick too, because it's not like a super long season, but like 12 matches. Like if you have 12 matches, you can lose 1, and I think you'll be fine.
Oh yeah,
if you
for
win.
sure. I mean, you could almost go. I would say I bet 6 and 6 if you get chokes in the 6 that you get, you might still be good.
Yeah.
In that avenue, which is one of the crazier parts of it.
I had a question. So last season, Davis was the leading scorer. How many points did he have in the regular season?
Oh, where's Egghead?
You guys know?
Yeah, right. The guy, our stat machine
our stat guy.
is out of service today. Like He is,
Oh,
he
that's
would answer that before you even finish.
Not
stating
saying
it,
head.
he would
Said it
have
off
the
the top of
answer.
his
Yeah,
head.
man.
So Davis had
He
a lot
would've-
of jokes. He had Elbow Genie he got 2 subs under a minute, right? At least.
Oh shit! So then that's even bonus there. So 2 sevens, right? So he at least
Yeah.
had
Right.
14, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel
let's
like
not
the
try
number's
to figure it
28.
out.
I think he got a
Yeah,
heel.
that'd be
I think
good.
one of them was a heel hook.
Oh, okay. So no. So okay. So at least yeah, he's
Yeah.
at least 20.
like, did he have
I'm
more
sure
than
of
20
it.
points?
I feel like he was in the 20s. Let me see if I have
Okay.
access to some stuff real quick. Let's see.
Because like
Say
that's like
that.
interesting to
Good
me. Like,
questions there.
how many points do you need? Like, that's like money ball, you know?
And then also you get a bonus point. Like if you're on a winning team, you get a bonus point every time your team wins. So
Right.
He's
So
on a
if
good
your team wins the block, you guys get an extra point plus
Mm.
the extra point if you finish somebody under a minute. So everybody looking at the points now.
Right? Yeah, yeah, dude. It's one of those things, right? You just got to be strategic because, like you pointed out,
I don't think they
Chris,
have it posted directly.
Yeah, no, they don't.
No.
You might have moments where you have to just sacrifice, not getting a limb snapped, right? Just so you can move on to the next day. Because, like, the interesting thing about this is every day you can't just say, all right, I'm gonna let my ankle go a little bit more than it should, because what if it's the last day of the season and then tomorrow you did make it to the finale? Crap, now you really, you're coming in compromised. I guess sure, right, during the tournament, screw it, right? Like, fuck it, my ankle snapped, but I got another one to go through.
Hey,
right?
or like
But
John Combs pulling his crotch, bro, lifting weights before. Didn't he like get hurt on a mechanical bull, and that's why you jumped in on the team in that quintet in Atlanta, Chris?
Yeah, that's what happened. I was there.
Is that what happened?
Mechanical bull.
Yeah, he I mean, so Sean, because I've known Sean for years, because Ryan and I have been competing against each other for so long, and
Yeah.
Sean messaged me like I was on vacation with my girlfriend in France, and Sean messaged me like, "Hey, can you do a quintet in Atlanta next weekend?" And I was like, I mean, I'm in shape. I can't really cut weight, And I was like, but I could be there. And so so we set it up, and I saw later that Combs got injured on a mechanical bull, and I was like, I put it all together. Like, yeah, Combs was on the team, and then he got removed from the team, and then there was a video of him on this bull, and I was like, and the next thing I'm on the team, it was just funny.
Was it the same injury from before?
Yeah, because the PGF he had a growing injury,
but he hurt himself prior to the season. He had said too, so this is like a reoccurring thing. He came into it injured, and it's something too. And that's a question that I was gonna kind of ask. Is like not necessarily to you directly, like are you injured or whatever, but like how would you feel if you came in and you were going for this title, and then maybe someone who was one of the favorite guys or even not, but someone that was on your team had like a known injury that definitely cost you guys lots of points and didn't give you a chance to even like get the money? Is that something you would like resent somebody for?
Oh man, that's a question.
I just kind of had that thought a little bit about it the other, watching the documentary and the way that last season played out. Some is like, you would get over it. Obviously, I think, or I would have been pissed probably a little bit in that moment if it would have been known, because but people are used to coming in, like you said, to tournaments injured and not knowing what you're getting yourself into over the course of this thing. Maybe he didn't have full knowledge enough to be educated.
For ADCC, I was like pretty banged up. Like I had a herniated disc that was flared up, and I like couldn't rest because it was an ADCC camp. So I was like training around a disc injury, and then after ADCC, I just chilled for a little bit, and so I like healed up. I working with a physical therapist, doing a lot of stuff to like kind of rehab. So I've been feeling really good, and I feel like I've been injured enough to where like if one of my teammates got injured, I wouldn't hate them, but I would not be happy.
Yeah.
Yo, he's honest. Sure. He's honest.
No, it's just an interesting dynamic that you really don't have to contend with probably, anywhere else in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you're right. Like when we do the quintets and stuff, like it's different because it's like those are your friends, you're like maybe not your best friends that you're on the team with, but it's like someone This is like I could be on a team with like somebody who I've never met, you know,
Yep.
like I will probably be on a team with someone I've never met, you know, so it's like gonna be like and that adds a different layer of like kind of not competitiveness, but like almost like a lack of like empathy almost. Like I don't know this person, I don't have a reason. Maybe we become friends through the event next week, because it's like that's a lot of things are going to happen over those 5 days, but like, you know, it's like you don't really know somebody and now you're forced, that's like, you know, you're $100,000 on the line, like you're gonna
Yeah.
be, you know, everyone wants to
intense.
win that, you know, that's why we're all there.
Definitely.
So
Yeah,
Man,
yo,
I'm
so,
excited. Go ahead, Miggy.
you know, so I meant to mention this earlier, Chris. You know, I have a suggestion, right, for you to up your stock value for the draft. So, right, Grappler's Diary, make a post saying, "If I was a PGF coach," right, right. That's how we get him right. Then you'd be like, "I would draft Chris Wojcik." Boom. Number 1 bullet point. 2, team wins the team challenge, and then team also goes to win the finale. Boom, dude. Up your stock value that way, big dog. You got the platform to do it. Just saying, just in case, right?
that'd be hilarious. Maybe I should do something. I definitely will do something next week. Like there will be a PGF like discussion on the Grappler's Diary. I don't know exactly what format it will take, but like, because next week I don't even know. Like normally I do the posts like the week. I do them on like Sunday, and they just go out every day during the week. And so like I don't know what the work schedule is gonna be like.
Yeah,
while
exactly.
I'm at, because 3 matches a day. Like when I'm competing, I like don't work at all. You know, I'm like just in the zone, and so I don't know what's gonna happen. You know,
You'll need to be recovering in the
But-
mornings,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
you know, I definitely got to do
Recovering,
something because
refueling.
it's like such a unique event.
Yeah, so I actually have a question for you, Chris. Because
Yeah,
you
just
mentioned this
Eating
is
a
a little bit
bunch.
up in weight for you, right?
Yeah, he said that.
Right. So okay, right. So you know, how is it going to be right refueling during
Miggy
the trip?
fanboying out over here. He's like,
saying more
so you
like
said this
dog.
thing that was very obvious. You already said, right?
Right. There's got to build up my question that way. Right? I'm not that good at this point. No, but so coming into the week, right? You know, you're pretty much going every single day. You know, do you have any plans to have like some sort of fat snacks basically on hand so you don't lose too much, right? You know, 5 pounds, sure, but once them 10 pounds start kicking in, you do notice it sometimes on guys. Again, speaking as a heavyweight who never has to cut weight, so
Hey,
I
there'll
can't
be
relate
some
to that part
chocolate
about
coconut water
consuming.
at least.
Hey, chocolate brownie brittle too. Yeah.
What's going to coconut?
Yeah, I mean, like I train with Nicky Rod every day, you know, so like I'm used to guys being bigger than me, so that's not really something that bothers me. But I do think in terms of like diet during the event, there's gonna have to be like I don't know if I should approach it like a week of hard training where I'm doing 3 hard rounds every single day that are like obviously full speed, or if it should be approached like, you know, 4 days of competition where I'm doing like my competition diet during those 4 days, because I don't find that the competition diet is always sustainable over the course of like 4 or 5 days. You know, there's a reason there's a drastic change in the diet for a 1 or a 2 day event. So I'm gonna have to learn on the fly on that one. I think that like it's probably gonna end up being somewhere in between the two, because it is gonna need to be more sustainable, like a hard week of training. But like obviously it's not training. There's gonna be like, you need to time the meals around, you know, the fight time, and you know, obviously the post competition meal. It can't be like a normal competition where it's like, oh, we're done competing, let's go get like fucking pizza or whatever. Like you need to be like kind of dialed in as if it were a week of training, instead of like a competition or a competition like you're done. You know, you're not done after a day.
Right on.
Yeah,
Hey, I got
it's
a
definitely a
question
long day.
here from. I got a question here from Kai Johnson. He's saying game planning for points. How do you feel about giving up on or being forced to take points from leg locks? I'm not sure
It
what he
depends
meant
on the
by that.
opponent. It depends on the opponent. I think that if I'm like outclassing someone, like then I may give up on a leg lock in order to attack like a choke and get more points. But it's like if I have someone like, you know, Paul or like Ryan or like one of these guys who I would consider to be like the most talented guys in the bracket. If I get a leg lock, that's what we're gonna get, you know, and that's
Straight
like
up.
that would be a huge win in any rule set, right? Whether it's a choke, arm lock, whatever. Like it depends on the opponent. I think that in a match with someone who I'm like really outclassing, then maybe I'll try to do a choke. Now the problem is like, what if you try to do a choke and then you don't get it? You know, then it's like maybe we go back to the leg lock, but what if we run out of time? So it's like, I think that against the top opponents, the submission is going to be so hard to get that you take what you can get. I think that if you're really outclassing someone and, you know, look, I think I'm experienced enough to know the difference, then I would maybe try to force a choke.
Have you thought about
Right
the
on.
stalling penalties at all? BMAC was talking about like really trying to implement the 10-second count. Basically, if you're not moving on bottom or if you're just stalling at any point, they start a 10-second count.
I mean, I never get hit for stalling in any other rule set. So if I get hit for stalling out there, I'm doing something very wrong.
We have also another question here from John B. I believe he's from Mexico, but he's asking, what is the one thing you would like to see happen in the
That
jiu-jitsu
pitbull?
community? Yeah,
Mm.
more money, sponsors, unique tournaments, etc. Question mark.
I think that in terms of the jiu-jitsu, like things that I want to see in the community, I would say I would like to see more collaboration between competitions, because I feel like a lot of the ADCC CJI drama is like the extreme example of two promotions that like didn't like each other. But like we're not at a point where the sport is big enough that we can all be off on our own like island, you know. Like I saw a clip the other day of Eddie Bravo talking about PGF, you know, like, and I know like Brandon's 10p and Eddie's 10p, so there's like they have that kind of connection. But like these events are getting so big because someone with a huge platform, even though Eddie runs his own tournaments, he's still going to help hype up PGF, and that's going to make PGF even bigger. You know, it's like you need everybody to like kind of work together to make the thing even bigger. So I'd like to see more collaboration and like cooperation between promotions and even gyms. I'd like to see just more collaboration because you go further when people are working together.
For sure. I agree 100%. I just saw a couple hours ago that Eddie was on Rogan last night, and he was talking about the PGF. So that's
Yeah, I think
just
we saw the
talking
same
about
clip.
just talking about it. You know, on that particular podcast, he's obviously going to give it just a nudge or the Rogan bump, as they say.
Yeah,
You know,
I own a 10th Planet School too, and I get people still because they're like, oh yeah, I watched Joe Rogan, and it's like, oh cool, thanks Joe, appreciate it, man. It's definitely a great like benefit for us that he's so 10p friendly, but I'm sure it's same with you guys too. He's very promoting of everybody, in jiu-jitsu and in martial, as long as you're not full of shit, in which case, obviously that changes everything. But that I agree with what you're saying. Is like it's more about the collective than rather, everybody for themselves. That's one of the things that like Boogie and Gio like talked about a lot. It's not us versus everybody else, versus them. It's like not jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, it's jiu-jitsu versus everybody else. It's all of us.
Yeah,
We're all one thing, in that way. And it kind of lose sight of that stuff sometimes, in competition and with business and different things like that. But definitely at the end of the day, we all benefit when we're all working towards, a better common goal.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Before we go, Miggy, any final thoughts?
I'm excited to see Chris use his grappling diary powers. Like, I just wanted to come out with a book for the first match, just throw at his opponent. Like, that's the grappler's diary. It might be a DQ, but it's a great way to promote the page, my man. Just throwing suggestions.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm excited to see how they work together.
Oh yeah, man. Like I said earlier, I'm just definitely starting to get a little nervous and anxious myself, ready to just kind of get out there and get feet on the ground to get this thing going. We've been hyping it up and talking about it now long enough. It's the guys are ready, we're ready, the show's ready. It's time to get out there and
leaving
get
in a
to
couple
work.
days.
Yeah, it's like in a week.
5 days to leave.
Yeah, so it's on. You know, I'm just hyped, man, and I'm glad you're a part of it, Chris. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. This was great.
Yeah, for sure. Nunchuck, anything you want to say before we go?
Oh yeah, man. I just like you're gonna have a blast, dude. It's the people you get to meet. Like you being a writer, like it's gonna give you a lot of material. I've seen so many like friendships made, and you know, just like you guys were talking about, it's a networker's dream. Just everybody collaborating, and you know, it's a great event. But yeah, man, it was fun having you on, and I'm I won't get to make it out there this time, but I'm looking forward to watching you all week. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, and for you, any shout outs to your sponsors or anybody you want to, shout out there?
Yeah, I mean, just shout out to my coach, Jeff Serafin, everybody at B Team, my sponsor, Marshall Paradise, BJJ Mental Models, and then make sure everybody listen and make sure you guys check out the Grappler's Diary. That's all.
Right on. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, PGF World 7 starts next week, baby. Let's go.
On down.
Let's go. We'll catch you when we come back. I don't know if we're gonna do a show, right away. We might take a hiatus for a couple of weeks. I don't know. But
No, we're gonna do some
it's
shows
PGF
from
time,
there.
folks.
We're doing some
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, I don't know about that, man.